Some discoveries don't whisper. They punch you in the jaw and demand you rethink everything you thought you knew. And this is one of them. A medieval wood preservation method so effective, so strangely modern, and so quietly powerful that the structures built with it have outlived kingdoms, plagues, empires, and, yes, even the chaos of World War II. The deeper you dig into it, the more one thing becomes clear. Medieval craftsmen knew something we lost. And it's time to bring it back. For centuries across northern Europe, archaeologists kept stumbling upon a mystery. Foundation posts still rock solid after 600 years, barn beams that survived damp climates untouched, storage vessels that somehow resisted moisture, and insects long after the societies that built them vanished. These weren't rare miracles. They were patterns without explanations. The written records were missing, fading, or fragmented. But the results were undeniable. And that's where the story gets interesting. When rural craftsmen were interviewed in the late 1800s and early 1900s, pieces of a forgotten method began to resurface. A method that didn't rely on chemicals, factories, or pressure treatment chambers. A method authorities had discouraged, mills had suppressed, and industry had replaced. Not because it failed, but because it didn't fit the new economic machine. But the effectiveness? Untouched. And that's exactly why modern homesteaders, survivalists, and off-grid builders are reviving it today. Let's break down this lost preservation secret step by step, because if you're building a fence, a shed, a cabin, or anything meant to last, this technique can change your entire approach to wood, starting with winter's advantage. The medieval carpenter's first weapon wasn't a tool, it was timing. They understood something simple but profound. Sap is the enemy of long-lasting wood. Sap attracts insects, it feeds bacteria, it traps moisture, and moisture is the highway to rot. So they harvested trees during the coldest months, right after the first hard freeze. In winter, sap flow plummets. The wood is naturally drier, denser, and significantly more resistant to decay. The moment the tree came down, the bark came off. No hesitation. Bark traps moisture like a sponge and becomes a welcome mat for rot. Removing it early let the wood breathe and harden fast. Test it today, and you'll see the difference instantly. Winter-cut wood dries faster, tightens more evenly, and maintains its strength without splitting. It's a natural preservation trick built into the rhythm of the seasons, and the medieval world didn't waste it. Shaping wood that defies nature. Next came a step that looks artistic but is pure survival engineering. Medieval builders didn't leave their logs round. They squared them. They hewed them. They removed the sap-heavy layers until the clean, tight heartwood was exposed. Heartwood is nature's armored core. It's loaded with natural, rot-resistant compounds. By carving away everything else, craftsmen were essentially revealing the strongest version of the wood. But the shaping had another secret. It controlled how water behaved. Flat faces shed rain faster than curved surfaces. Angled cuts prevent pooling. Even drying means fewer cracks, fewer weak points, and dramatically longer life. This wasn't random. They sculpted water behavior into the wood, turning every beam into a self-maintaining structure. Try it yourself, and you'll see how instantly the difference shows. Beams that shed water don't rot. Timber that dries evenly doesn't twist or split. It's the kind of simple engineering that modern construction has somehow forgotten. The step authorities tried to erase. Now we get to the part that changed everything, and the reason this method was eventually discouraged and even banned in some regions. Controlled charring. Medieval craftsmen burned the surface of the wood, not enough to damage it, just enough to turn the outer layer into carbon. That thin layer of char did several things at once. It repelled moisture, blocked fungi, deterred insects, and made the surface more dimensionally stable. The wood swelled and shrank less. It dried more predictably. And because carbon doesn't rot, the layer acted like armor. You'll find the same technique in various cultures. Japan kept it alive under the name yakasugi. Scandinavia held onto it in remote barns. But in much of Europe, authorities banned the open flame treatment near towns and mills. Industrial sawmills hated the tarred surfaces that clogged their blades. Regulations tightened, charring faded, but the structures made with it, those still stand. Today, you can bring this step back with nothing more than a small handheld torch. Heat the surface until it turns an even black. Brush off the loose soot. What's left is a sleek, sealed, carbonized surface that's impressively resistant to decay. And it looks incredible. Finishing with a resin armor. The final reinforcement step feels almost alchemical. After charring, medieval builders coated the wood with natural oils and resins, pine tar, birch tar, linseed oil, walnut oil, whatever was available. They heated the mixture until it thinned, brushed it onto the warm charred surface, and let it soak deep into the grain. As the mixture cooled, it hardened into a semi-polymer shell that water couldn't penetrate. Insects avoided it. Fungus couldn't grip it. Storage containers sealed with pine tar stayed intact underground for centuries. Shipbuilders used the same compounds to keep hulls watertight. Recreating this today is easy. Just mix equal parts pine tar and linseed oil. And warm it gently. Then, brush it on and let the sun cure it. The finish, honestly, outlasts many modern sealants and doesn't rely on any toxic chemicals. Why did the method die? And, well, why is it coming back? Industry killed it, plain and simple. Not because it failed, but because it slowed the machine. Hand-hewn beams weren't uniform. Charred surfaces gummed up saws. Open flame treatments made officials nervous, so the technique faded. But the durability? That stayed. And now, with more folks turning to off-grid building, homesteading, natural materials, and long-lasting craftsmanship, this medieval wood secret is making a comeback. Whether you're building fence posts that won't rot, tool handles that won't crack, outdoor structures that outlive store-bought lumber, or storage containers that survive the elements, this method gives you a powerful alternative to industrial chemicals. Harvest smart. Shape smart. Burn smart. Seal smart. You're not just preserving wood, you're reviving a forgotten engineering marvel that stood undefeated through storms, centuries, and even the turmoil of World War II. If you want more deep dives into lost survival knowledge that still beats modern prepping, make sure you subscribe to History's Survival Code, share this video, and help bring these forgotten techniques back into practice.